Hello guys, no matter how we all feel about Donald Trump, today all of us have been waiting for this press conference to hear what will Donald Trump say to Vladimir Putin. Because he announced an extremely important message, many expected serious sanctions that could ruin Russian economy and more weapons for Ukraine. I was happy to discover that the press conference took place in the presence of the head of NATO, Rutte, who happens to be a really good negotiator. Sometimes it's difficult for me to watch how flattering he can be when talking with Donald Trump, but this strategy actually works. And this joint press conference was a very strong signal to the Kremlin that NATO and the United States remain very strong and united. There are some important messages that demonstrate the change of Trump's attitude towards the Kremlin. And no, he did not start caring much about the Ukrainian people, but he definitely felt very humiliated by Vladimir. And there are a number of moments that clearly demonstrate that and most likely result in Trump's permission for the EU allies of Ukraine to buy real weapons and arm us the way we need. If they really allow this 10 billion euro weapons for Ukraine, that would be amazing. And 17 Patriots is also super good. So I was not that focused on 50 days, 2 weeks, sanctions and other stuff, but I was truly interested and I'm still interested when and how many of Patriot systems and weapons we will receive. So let's discuss all of these things mentioned from an ordinary Ukrainian perspective. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine, and if you want to see the defeat and demilitarization of Russia, and I hope and I feel that more and more of our allies understand that's the only way to lasting peace, subscribe, we discuss all of that on the channel. Guys, I am a realist despite I act like an optimist, and I clearly did not expect much of Donald Trump because I understand much of his mindset and attitudes are very similar to the ones of Putin. But there were a number of mistakes made by the Kremlin goblin. This is actually a classical Russian attitude. They never know when to stop. And I still believe that at the very beginning of his term and during his first presidency, Trump did a lot of good for Vladimir Putin, just because Vladimir Putin is his favorite dictator on earth. But Vladimir Putin did not value that and did not demonstrate the necessary respect. And Trump actually said that when he quoted this anecdote. I'm not sure whether it's real because I cannot imagine Melania Trump living with him, but he said that one day he returned back home, met his first lady, and told her he had a good conversation with Vladimir. And she mocked Trump, saying that, well, what kind of good conversation that was if Putin just bombed another Ukrainian city. So all of the Ukrainian internet is full of Melania Trump memes wearing Ukrainian armed forces uniform. But all these jokes, still, Trump openly said that. He also said that Putin managed to fool Obama, Biden, but he will definitely fail with Trump. And this is perhaps the most important change in his attitude, because just a month ago he kept blaming Ukrainians, Zelensky, Europeans, anyone but Putin. Now he finally speaks about the aggressor. Of course, it should have been always like that, but we are in the situation and we have to be realistic with all that. So for the majority of Ukrainians, the greatest victory of these weeks is that if not helping Ukraine, Trump at least won't prevent others helping Ukraine. And if they allow European partners to buy weapons for Ukraine and the equivalent of $10 billion, that would be huge. I know that we received a lot of the American support previously, but once again, please remember that those sums of money were not money directed to Ukraine. These were money for which Americans renewed their stockpiles after giving leftovers and old weapons, outdated weapons, because F-16s is not something you actually want for your army. So these are sums of money that were actually spent in the US, and exactly what President Zelensky tried to make Trump and Vance and their supporters here. So if these are just like 10 billion paid to buy what we actually need, not what is left, including some long-range missiles, for example, or at least mid-range missiles, and there are rumors, this can actually strengthen Ukraine greatly. And this will also be a demonstration of support and cooperation between EU countries that at this moment are still lagging behind in the production of weapons, but this can change in a couple of years with the support of Ukrainian developers and Ukrainian soldiers with the best in the world expertise and experience. And during that period of time, this is actually a win-win situation because it brings money to the American producers and it brings security to the European allies. Subscribe to witness the collapse of the Kremlin together and to demonstrate your solidarity with Ukraine. Please like, share, and comment these videos. This does help. Let me know in the comments what are your impressions from this press conference, because I'm still making my opinion. I'm sure more comments will appear in the days to come. We will know more about like real numbers, real weapons, or Trump will change his opinion again. I want to hear all of that from you as I try to shape my opinion. I'm just repeating and reporting and translating what I hear now on Ukrainian social media, among Ukrainian experts. So, first of all, I love the atmosphere of the conversation, and many people say that Rutte is a very talented negotiator. Greetings to my subscribers and friends and viewers and our community members, that's the best word, from the Netherlands, that he knows how to trick. And in this case, when the European Union still does not have enough production sites. And it's important even for the Americans not to lose this connection with Europe, because Trump is temporary and friendship can be for the centuries ahead of us, and we actually need it. As this axis of evil is getting stronger, we need the axis of good getting stronger. So keeping the United States in NATO, keeping the United States on the side of the good is good both for us in Europe and for you in the United States and for Australians and for Africans. It's pretty obvious. It's just bad for Russians and North Koreans. So the fact that they were talking and the atmosphere was really good, and I love the sense of humor of Rutte, who mocked the Russian delegation on the negotiations, who did not promise anything but kept repeating, he said, history of Russia since 2050. So everybody is understanding it's not adequate. And finally, Trump is catching up that it's not adequate. And he says it's not okay to talk with me over the phone and to be so polite and to be so, I don't know, positive, and then bomb Kyiv. And that's exactly what we tried to explain to him, but finally it took him half a year, but he sees that clearly, and that's nothing else but humiliation. Why do you think Russia does it? Why do you think Putin does it? I think, again, it's the proof of their irrationality, of their loss of control. Because, guys, it was the silliest decision possible to attack Ukraine in 2014, but in 2022 that was a deadly decision that will lead to the dissolution of the Russian Federation. Watch my new super popular video on the channel Anna Danilchuk. I connected here and I greatly advise you to watch it because it's full of very important arguments that I'm sure can help you feel safer and more confident in this global chaotic world. So the greatest victories of this messages coming from the White House. First of all, that Putin is to blame and that Trump knows Putin humiliates him, Putin wants to fool him. No negative comments about Zelensky or Ukraine. He's no more a dictator, and we are no more a party with which it's so difficult to deal. Finally, they realized that it may be not that easy to talk with us because we speak the truth and we actually negotiate what we think, what we feel. We'd not trick you, we'd not fool you. If we say yes, then it is yes. If we say no, then it is no. And it was so easy for Trump to talk with Putin because Putin agreed on anything and did the contrary. Of course, it was easy to negotiate with him, but that was a mockery. And for narcissists, that might be super, super painful. So to some extent, we may say that this conversation and this press conference demonstrated strong connection between the United States and NATO, which Putin constantly wants to destroy. It is a beautiful continuation of the recent summit, where once again, Rutte managed to charm the White House narcissist. We gotta give them all nicknames. Like call signs for soldiers, so this call signs for people of the politics. And now General Kellogg is in Kyiv, and a lot of people, good people in Ukraine, hope that this will mean less attacks on us. As a realist, I believe nothing will change, may even be worse, and many claim that this night can be hard. So your prayers, your support is needed. And if this 17 Patriots will be given to Ukraine, they say that Germany and Norway are prepared to buy. Thank you so much, people of Germany and people of Norway and all the good people who pressure in the United States, in the European Union, in South Africa, New Zealand, because it actually works, as you see. And by the way, this conversation, these messages are the results of your pressure. I love you for that. And not just for that, but for that too. So many say that a lot of details will be known during this 1 week stay of Kellogg here. And if we are given mid-range, long-range missiles, if we develop new ways to cooperate with the European Union, with the United States to strengthen your military production, but while this infrastructure is being built to keep getting weapons from the United States with no harm to your stockpiles for you to protect your country. This will actually be a win-win decision. And the Russian propagandists are very, very dissatisfied. Of course, I'm still worried that anything can change tomorrow. That's very typical of Trump. That this 50 days is something no one can decode. But guys, now my country at war, experiencing hundreds and hundreds, close to 1,000 drones and missiles every night, has like 6 or 8 Patriots. And if we get 17 plus, that would be really great. Even this alone. Let me know, what do you think in the comments below. I will read them super attentively. You know, that's my new therapy, especially during sleepless nights. I don't always comment because I'm a little bit anxious at that moment, but I read, and that's a kind of meditation for me. I'm very grateful to have you in my life, and thank you so much for being true friends of mine and of Ukraine, of course. That goes first. Remember to join me on X. That's important to grow our communities everywhere, on Instagram, on Blue Sky, Threads, and join the Discord community. Check the merch shop for lots of good items that work well as reminders and conversation starters about Ukraine, and they are simply beautiful t-shirts. And thank you so much for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons and sponsors of the channels. Now they are 2 because I'm a responsible adult who keeps working more if you support me more. So thank you so much for that. And united we stand. Slava Ukraini!